The sun blazed down on a busy car dealership in downtown Buffalo. Salesmen stood outside, eyeing potential buyers, hoping to land a big sale. Inside, the showroom was spotless, the scent of fresh leather filling the air. It was a normal day, nothing out of the ordinary. Until Josh Allen walked in. The face of the Buffalo Bills, the man who had led his team to countless victories, had come in to buy a car. But instead of a warm welcome, he was met with something shocking. The dealership manager took one look at him and refused to help. Minutes later, when he saw who walked in next, his entire world flipped upside down. Josh Allen walked into the dealership, dressed casually in jeans and a t-shirt. No security, no entourage, no flashing cameras. Just a man looking to buy a car. He made his way over to a sleek luxury SUV, running his hand along the polished exterior. It was the kind of vehicle that suited a star quarterback, powerful, smooth, and built for success. Before he could even open the door, a voice cut through the air. "Excuse me, sir. Can I help you with something?" Josh turned to see the dealership manager, a tall man in a tailored suit, his arms crossed over his chest. His expression? Skeptical. Josh nodded, keeping his tone polite. "Yeah, just looking at this one. Thinking about buying." The manager scanned him from head to toe, his lips pressing into a thin line. Something about his gaze was off, as if he had already made a judgment before Josh had even spoken. "This is one of our highest-end models," the manager said slowly. "We are very selective about who we work with. Maybe something more affordable?" The words hung in the air like an insult disguised as advice. Josh's face remained unreadable, but inside, he knew exactly what was happening. He had been underestimated before, when scouts doubted him in college, when critics said he would never make it as an NFL quarterback. But this was different. The dealership, which had been buzzing with casual conversation just moments before, had grown quiet. A few customers glanced over. Employees behind the desk exchanged looks, sensing something was off. The energy in the room had shifted. Josh took a slow breath, keeping his composure. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice calm but firm. "You are saying you will not sell me the car?" The manager smirked, confident, smug. "I am saying we do not waste our time. Some of our customers, well, they are a different level of buyer. Big-time business executives, serious money." Josh nodded slowly, his eyes locked onto the manager's. The disrespect was clear, crystal clear, but before he could say another word, the door to the dealership swung open again. And when the manager saw who walked in next, his face went pale. The dealership manager stood frozen, his smug confidence fading as soon as he saw who had just walked in. A tall man in a crisp suit, exuding quiet authority, stepped through the doors. Every employee in the room stiffened. Terry Pegula, the billionaire owner of the Buffalo Bills. The manager's face drained of color. He had spent the last 5 minutes mocking and dismissing Josh Allen. Now, standing in front of him was the most powerful man in Buffalo sports. Pegula's gaze swept the showroom, quickly locking on to Josh Allen. His expression was unreadable, but his walk, purposeful, commanding, unshaken, said everything. "Josh," he said, extending a hand, his voice steady. "Looking for a new ride?" Josh shook his hand, a smirk playing at the corner of his lips. "Yeah, was thinking about it." Pegula's eyes flicked toward the dealership manager, who now looked like he wanted to disappear. "Problem?" Pegula asked. Josh shrugged, keeping his tone neutral. "Seems like they have a selective process here." The words hung heavy in the air. The manager tried to recover, forcing an awkward laugh. "Oh, Mr. Pegula, I did not realize you were stopping by today." His voice wobbled slightly, his confidence crumbling by the second. Pegula's stare did not waver. "I was not." The manager swallowed hard. A few customers had stopped what they were doing, pretending to browse but clearly eavesdropping. Employees behind the desk had completely frozen, their hands hovering over keyboards, watching the situation unfold. Pegula turned to Josh and nodded toward the SUV. "This the one you like?" Josh smiled slightly. "Yeah, but I was told it might be out of my range." Pegula let out a small, sharp laugh. Then, slowly, he turned back to the dealership manager. "You told my quarterback he is not qualified to buy a car from you?" The manager opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. There was no smooth excuse, no clever comeback. He had made a huge mistake, and what happened next would cost him more than just one sale. The dealership manager stood there, speechless. His face was pale, his confident smirk completely gone. He had spent the last few minutes dismissing Josh Allen, Buffalo's most beloved athlete, and now he was face to face with the billionaire owner of the Buffalo Bills. Terry Pegula's eyes never left the manager. The silence in the room was suffocating. Employees behind the desk had stopped working, customers had turned to watch, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "I asked you a question," Pegula said again, his voice calm but ice cold. "Did you just tell Josh Allen that he is not qualified to buy a car from you?" The manager forced a nervous laugh, his hands fidgeting at his sides. "Oh no, Mr. Pegula, I think there was a misunderstanding. I was just explaining that we have a high-end clientele and, well, we have to be selective." Pegula's jaw tightened. "Selective?" The manager gulped. Josh Allen stayed silent. He did not need to say a word. The way Pegula was looking at the manager was enough. Pegula took a slow step forward, scanning the dealership like he was taking mental notes. "This is interesting," he said, almost to himself, "because I have bought several cars from this dealership over the years, and I have never heard of this selective policy before." The manager shifted nervously. "Sir, Pegula held up a hand. The manager shut his mouth immediately. "Let me make something clear," Pegula continued. "Josh Allen is not just some customer. He is the reason this city has hope every Sunday. He has done more for this town than anyone in this building." The manager looked like he wanted to disappear. Pegula glanced at Josh and gestured toward the luxury SUV. "You still want this one?" Josh smirked. "Yeah, but I think we should look somewhere else." Pegula nodded. "Agreed." Then he turned to the manager one last time. "If Josh Allen is not qualified to shop here, then neither am I. We will take our business elsewhere." With that, he and Josh turned and walked out. And the dealership would never recover from what happened next. As Josh Allen and Terry Pegula walked out of the dealership, the entire showroom remained frozen. Employees stared, customers whispered, and the manager? He stood there, completely stunned. He had just lost the most high-profile customer in Buffalo, and not just any customer, but the face of the city's NFL team and its billionaire owner. Within seconds, the reality of what had just happened started to sink in. One of the younger salesmen muttered under his breath, "He just walked away from a multimillionaire deal." Another worker shook his head. Not just that, he humiliated Josh Allen in Buffalo. The manager finally snapped out of his daze, rushing toward the door. "Mr. Pegula, wait. I think we can work something out." But it was too late. The door slammed shut behind them. A heavy silence settled over the dealership. The employees knew what was coming. The other customers, now fully aware of what had just unfolded, gave the manager looks of pure disgust. But the real punishment? It was just beginning. Because one of the customers who had witnessed the entire incident had been recording everything, and before the manager could even think about damage control. The video was already online. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. It showed everything. The moment the manager dismissed Josh Allen, the stunned faces of the employees, the way Terry Pegula called him out on the spot, and the final moment when they walked out without spending a dime. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, every platform was on fire. This dude really refused to sell a car to Josh Allen in Buffalo? What was he thinking? Terry Pegula's calm, cold response was legendary. That dealership just lost millions in business. The video quickly made headlines. Sports networks, news outlets, even national business sites picked up the story. And the dealership? By the time the sun set, its Google reviews had dropped to 1 star. The comments were brutal. But the worst part? The next morning, the dealership got a call from corporate. And the manager? He was about to learn the hard way what happens when you disrespect the wrong person. By the next morning, the entire country had heard the story. What had started as a quiet insult in a car dealership had turned into a national conversation. Sports shows debated the clip. News outlets ran segments on it. Former NFL players, celebrities, and even business executives chimed in. The overwhelming response? Outrage. Josh Allen is the face of Buffalo. If he is not qualified to buy a car there, who is? This is why people hate elitist businesses. That manager thought he was above the biggest athlete in town. But the most brutal reaction came from Buffalo Bills fans. Within hours, the dealership's Google reviews were flooded, not just by angry fans, but by people canceling their future purchases. Planned on buying my next car here, not anymore. If Josh Allen is not good enough for you, then neither is my money. The dealership's phone lines were jammed with angry calls. Their social media pages had to turn off comments. But the worst was yet to come, because corporate had seen the video. That morning, the owner of the dealership chain scheduled an emergency meeting. They were furious. The dealership's name was now associated with discrimination, arrogance, and terrible customer service. The manager? Fired. On the spot. A brief statement was released. We deeply regret the actions of an individual employee at our Buffalo location. He has been terminated effective immediately. We apologize to Mr. Allen and the Buffalo community. But the damage had already been done. Meanwhile, Josh Allen? He had not said a word. No tweets, no interviews, no response. Instead, later that day, a picture surfaced online. It was Josh, sitting in the driver's seat of a brand new luxury SUV. The dealership, a direct competitor of the one that rejected him. When reporters finally caught up with him and asked about the incident, his response was simple. Always treat people with respect. You never know who is watching. It was the perfect response, classy, sharp, and unforgettable. The dealership lost everything. Josh Allen? He walked away, looking even bigger than before. Respect is not about wealth, status, or appearances. It is about character. And Josh Allen just proved that without even trying. He did not argue. He did not fight. He let the moment speak for itself. In the end, the dealership lost millions in business, while Josh gained even more admiration. What do you think? Did the dealership deserve the backlash? Or was this just a mistake that got out of hand? Let us know in the comments. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more unbelievable NFL stories. Stay tuned for the next shocking and inspiring tale from the world of football.